The food doesn't look good. It smells good, too.
Hey, we're going to maybe drop in a little napalm there and try and cook him down. Maybe a little barbecue.
I'd like to put some barbecue sauce on that button. Just... I
could have been at a barbecue!
Thank you, Nick Shipkowski and Jay Zawoski on the other side. The building smells great, at least our floor or our corner of it. And now the portion of the studio in front of me smells and looks and tastes delicious.
Better than it has smelled all day.
Oh,
let's put it that way.
God, Real Urban BBQ. Sam Netter, thank you for bringing food, man. We wanted to do the segment whether you brought food or not, but I won't lie, we're glad you brought food.
Of course, it's our pleasure to be here.
I think the begging on the air yesterday was sort of a tip-off. when you said we won't be sorry, wink, wink. Well, if they bring a whole bunch of food.
Before we get to the questions, and if you want to get in, 312-644-6767, got a bunch that have come in via text and Twitter as well. Explain to people how you make that deliciousness that I just had. There's a lot of good stuff here on the plate, but the burnt ends, please describe that process for us if you would.
Yeah, it's traditional to Kansas City. We take brisket, which we smoke for about 14 hours.
14 hours of smoked brisket.
We then remove the fat cap, or the decal as it's known. We take that, we season it heavily, we put it back in the smoker for another 4 to 5 hours. So it's getting about 18 hours to 20 hours of smoke on it.
So the part that you scrape off is the part that you put back in?
Exactly.
Mm. So I just took a bite. I thought that explanation was going to go longer.
That was nowhere near as bad as the Tyler Kepner day. So when you were in the middle of a bagel when I swallowed a loose nut, and that was it. Neither one of us could speak.
We were in trouble that day. Because boy, those are unbelievable. And so delicious. Real Urban BBQ, just how it sounds. You can find them on Twitter and on the Facebooks as well. All right, I told people the first question I was going to ask was about ribs. They are daunting to me. I've never done it. And I love to order ribs. I love to go pick them up or get them when I go to a place like yours. But give me a simple way. And the flavor profile itself, I would know a little bit. So it's really the process that feels daunting to me. The best way to get ribs that are incredibly tender, fall off the bone, and will be delicious.
Most definitely what you're going to need is going to be a smoker. I'd recommend a Big Green Egg smoker or a Weber smoker. What you want to do is get that at about 225 degrees with some hickory wood. Hickory wood works best with pork products. You're going to smoke them for about 3 hours. Again, 225, 200 range. At that point, you're going to take them out. You're going to wrap them in some aluminum foil. Put some honey in that aluminum foil, a little apple juice. How about some sugar? Add some sweetness to the ribs. At that point, you're going to put them back on the smoker in the foil for about another hour, and that'll tender them up. It'll steam it out, and then you're going to pull them off. At that point, you're going to want to get a char grill. You're going to take the ribs and you're going to char them off, so you get a little color. You're going to caramelize the sugar in there.
And so that you're doing that on the grill, or
exactly,
okay.
You're doing that on the grill. So you need the smoker at first, and then you need the grill second.
What if I don't own a smoker?
If you don't own a smoker, you can do it on a grill. You're going to want to, if you're using charcoal, you're going to want to do an offset charcoal. So that's off to the side, so you're not getting direct heat. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to run the grill right around 200 to 225 degrees. And it's the same process that I spoke of before. So you're going to be right around 3 hours. You're going to then wrap them in aluminum foil, cook them for another hour.
Okay. So you didn't describe any boiling of the ribs?
That's a sin. That is a cardinal sin in barbecue, is boiling your ribs.
Why?
What you're looking for in ribs is you're not looking for them to fall off the bone. You're actually looking to bite through them cleanly. So if you boil your ribs, 9 times out of 10, you're going to overcook them, and they're going to end up falling off the bone.
Okay. So you don't like them falling off. You like the biting cleanly. What do you think about that, Barry?
I thought the falling off the bone was a good thing.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I'm like the last guy in the world to ask.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I understand what you're saying, to bite them off clean, so you're in control as opposed to them just sort of falling off.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's go to the Twitter machines for some questions here
on the interweb.
Mm-hmm. Propane or natural charcoal briquettes? A classic question. You seem to have answers ready for both styles. If given the choice, are you charcoal? I'm gas because I'm on a patio and it's much easier for me to control.
Exactly. If you're going to use charcoal, you're going to want to use natural lump charcoal, which is actually wood that has been cooked down, and they take the embers, what it is, and they cool that down, and it's all natural lump charcoal. It cooks for longer time, and it cooks at a higher heat, and it's more controllable. You have more flavor as well. Now, if it's the middle of winter and we live in Chicago, it's negative 45 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. You're not going to want to go out and, heat up your charcoal grill. So, there's nothing wrong with a little propane grill.
Okay. It's been useful, obviously, for me, and that's where I've ended up. I don't have the time for charcoal. I just don't. 312-644-6767 is the number. Sam Netter of Real Urban BBQ, the executive corporate chef there, joining us live in the studio. Thank you, Carrie Sayers. How quickly, guys, can we take another break so I can go and fill up plate number 2? How quickly can we do that?
This all you got to do is fill for about a minute here. This hour is brought to you by Shelton Fireworks, home of the big ones. Or I could try to ask some questions, and you could just run out now. I'll give you an extra 90 seconds.
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But why don't you go ahead, ask a question?
I really don't have any.
Okay, then I'll go to the text lines.
My knowledge of food and barbecuing and cooking is rather limited.
Do you have a barbecue at home? Do you grill?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Amy does most of everything though. She's pretty good. She's pretty good. But we, like you were talking about the winter, we barbecue all winter long because it's just so easy to fire that thing up. We got a gas grill, you fire it up.
Propane all the way in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Here's some questions via the text lines at 67011. What is the best brand of hot dog to grill? That's a very simple question, but deserves an answer.
Yeah, there's actually a brand called David's Kosher, which I like. It doesn't have any MSG, doesn't have any, treatments in there, chemicals. So it's just beef and pork hot dog. Or it's actually, just beef hot dog because it's
no
kosher.
pork.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's pork and crab meat.
That's the barbecue man in me. Again, David's Kosher. You can pick them up at Mariano's. Actually, that's where I get mine.
Oh, I don't know that I've seen them there. David's Kosher. How about other kosher beefs like Hebrew National or whatever?
Yeah, Hebrew National's great. Vienna beef. All those brands are good. I'd definitely stick with a kosher dog. Being as it's a hot dog, who knows what they put in there.
So the kosher, they have, because it's kosher, it has much stricter regulations.
And guidelines, yeah. So, it's only beef, and it's usually, in hot dogs, they'll put the beef head in there and things like that. That's not going to happen with the kosher dog.
Oh, I'm having flashbacks to Shea Stadium and biting into a hot dog in the press room after a game one night.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What happened?
I can't tell you because people are on their way to lunch right now.
What?
There was something in there, and I haven't had many hot dogs since then.
Reminds me of the time when I was smoking a cigarette in Czechoslovakia, and I found a twig in it, right down the middle of the thing. It's 1991 in Czechoslovakia. They were still putting twigs in prepackaged cigarettes.
Yeah, this was, I don't even,
yeah. Here's another question via text. What's the difference between baby back and spare ribs? If I have baby back or I have spare ribs, and how do you cook them differently? How do you prepare them differently?
Spare ribs, or they're known as St. Louis ribs, are going to take a little longer. They have a little bit more fat on them. We're in Chicago, and we're a baby back town, so the baby back ribs come from the loin portion. The spare ribs actually come from the other side of the rib cage, and they're also known as Texas spare ribs, which is a bigger portion of the St. Louis. And to create a St. Louis rib, you trim down the Texas spare rib, and it'll actually create a St. Louis rib.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So you can make one into the other if
exactly.
Need be. So David's Kosher is the hot dog. How about in terms of beef? This question from Twitter. What hamburger ratio is best for a grilled charcoal and gas? Maybe there is no difference. You see 80-20, you see 90-10 out there in terms of meat versus fat. What do you recommend?
I'm definitely an 80-20 guy or even a 75-25 guy. And I'll tell you, the more fat you get in your burger, the more flavor you have in your burger. You never want to squish your burger down. Never do that because all your flavor is going to go away there. And fat equals flavor.
Okay, so you never want to squish and make those juices go out there.
Never.
It's such an instinct to do that. I don't know what that's about.
I know, and you just want to flip it and flip it and flip it. You should really only flip a burger once.
Is that true for most things? If I'm cooking chicken out there, if I'm cooking a steak, I don't want to overly flip it, right?
No. Yeah. What you're going to do is you're going to create moisture loss. And again, moisture is flavor.
Okay. So 80-20 on the beef and only flip it once and don't press it down. All right. We got beef and hot dogs taken care of.
That's pretty good stuff. Even I learned something from that right there. Because, I'm I can do the simple things. I mean, I can make the chicken and the burgers and the dogs.
Yeah, you seem to be treating this segment like you need some kind of knowledge level to even have the conversation. Whatever your questions are, other people out there have those kind of questions.
I thought it was going to be, I assume you're getting to even more sophisticated stuff that some of the rib stuff was a little over my head, but I'm learning.
I think that we're dealing with, I would say the majority of our listeners do not have yet the big green egg or some kind of like a great smoker like that or some incredibly high-end grill. Some do. I'm sure there's some people out there got a little Smoky Joe and they're going to throw it on the back porch and do something.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, the Smoky, you can do great things with the little Weber Smoky Joe.
Exactly. I actually have one in my house.
You do?
Yep.
Well, I just assume... that you're going to have to do something about that button. I'm unplugging all this stuff. I just assumed that everyone was like you and Bernstein, and you just have all this unbelievable knowledge of foods and cooking and passion for it. And things.
I don't have that much knowledge. I'm gaining it. I'm gaining it during the course of our conversation with Sam Netter of Real Urban BBQ. Dial it up 312-644-6767. A couple of callers on hold. We will get to you in a matter of moments. Next hour, Adam Eaton from the White Sox. And if anything breaks in terms of the basketball stuff, we've got it for you. That's for sure. Your text, tweets, and calls next as we talk barbecue for your holiday weekend on The Score. Everything's going to be okay, Barry. Everything in the world is going to be just fine.
You're feeling better about things now.
My God, I'm just feeling so much better because I put some of that Texas barbecue sauce on the burnt ends and mixed it in a little bit with is that corn pudding? Is that what that is,
It's
Sam?
corn bake. We call it corn bake.
Corn bake, okay. That corn bake, and oh my goodness. There's food in Mitch's room. Don't tell the sales guys or else we'll be gone in like 10 minutes. But any of the on-air people or talent or producers, interns, people who actually work here for a living on the radio side, let's let them get in there and have some.
Too late. There goes the sales staff.
We are broadcasting live from the Hyundai Studios. See the new Sonata at buyhyundai.com. You can watch us at watch670thescore.com. Sam Netter is here from Real Urban BBQ answering our questions and your questions. One more simple one, one more basic one. Okay,
yep.
Sam?
Shoot.
Cutting bratwursts. I asked your partner or your boss, I suppose, Jeff, last time he was here, and he gave me the green light to cut my brats. I don't cut all the way through. I don't cut them in half. I don't even cut down about half of the brat, but I like to split that top so I get more edges to char, more crispiness, more edges to char, and it kind of blows up a little bit more like that. That's what I like. Am I losing flavor by doing that, and is it a sin?
It's not a sin, but definitely you're going to lose some flavor because fat, again, equals flavor. And when you cut the top, you're going to lose your fat. But it's also going to give you more surface area, which is going to give you the char that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So, it's personal preference, most definitely.
Okay. So depending on the quality of brat, even though I am losing some flavor, maybe not losing so much that it damages it.
Not at all. And if you like the charred bits, then go ahead, do it. Yeah. Who's stopping you?
Nobody.
Exactly.
Damn it. Nobody. This is Liam.
I love that flexibility in a man who knows his business. He's allowing you
to be myself.
To just be what you want to be.
Get what I need. It's the show mantra.
I appreciate that.
This is Liam in Champaign on 670 The Score. Liam, hello. Welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Good.
I had a quick question about pulled pork. I usually smoke a 15-pound shoulder for about 13 hours.
Okay.
What kind of sauce should I be using when I sauce it? I've been using a tomato-based spicy sauce, but sometimes it just doesn't come out right.
Yeah, most definitely. Up here in Chicago, we like a sweeter, more sugary sauce. So you want to stay away from that spicy sauce with pork. I would recommend a spicy sauce with a brisket or maybe a sausage. Sweet usually goes better with the pork.
So you guys sell marinades and sauces and stuff at your place, right?
Yep. Okay. We would recommend our original sauce, which tends to be a little sweeter than our Texas sauce.
Yeah, the Texas is a little bit more...
It's got a little bit more chili flake in it. Mm-hmm. And it's, traditional to Texas, which they like their food spicy down there.
And then Carolina is more vinegar-based?
More vinegar-based, and depending on where you go in Carolina, you can get a mustard or you can get just a vinegar-based.
Okay, and are there more styles than that are standard?
Yeah, you can go to Alabama and they have a white barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah, what is that? What's in that stuff?
They actually use a lot of mayonnaise and things and some cider vinegar. Pretty cool stuff.
Mayonnaise. They eat French fries with mayonnaise on it in Belgium and Holland. like a curry ketchup and mayonnaise and onions. Is what I had.
You know how I know that?
How's that?
Because I saw Pulp Fiction.
There you go. Whatever works, man. Some more questions via text for Sam Netter of Real Urban BBQ. What is the proper way to do a beef brisket? That from our friend Flatulating Dog in Texas.
Well, what you want to do first is take off all the fat, and what you're going to do with that is you're going to develop more bark, and that's something that you look for with the brisket. You're going to season it very heavily, and you're going to cook it would be the fat side up. So the fat's going to baste your meat, because fat runs down. Mm-hmm. You're going to cook that for about 14 hours. Or up to 16 hours, right at around 200 to 225 degrees.
Okay. So
some people inject that. They'll inject it with some beef jus or something like that. And that's just going to add more moisture into your meat. So, you can inject it. Personally, I don't like injecting the meat. I think it adds too much flavor to it. It actually makes it a little bit too salty. So we don't inject our meat over at the restaurant. We just cook it low and slow, baby. That's the way to go.
Low and slow. I like some of the terminology here. The bark. You need bark on the brisket. One texter was wondering what you meant by offset charcoal when you're smoking on a grill. When you have a gas grill, I have two different burners. I have an interior burner and an exterior burner.
Yep.
So if I want to control the heat, I can kind of do it that way. Is that what you mean by offsetting?
Exactly. And with charcoal, you can put it off to one side and put your meat on the opposite side. And that's what I mean by offset.
This is Greg in Elmhurst on 670 The Score with Sam Netter from Real Urban BBQ. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, guys, just wondering, I have a charcoal Weber grill, and when cooking chicken on the grill, whether it's a whole bird or bone-in pieces, when do I employ olive oil on the outside of it, and what function does that have?
That's a great question. So in terms of prepping the chicken and using the olive oil, at what point does he do it if he does it?
And that is a great question. What you want to do is you're going to put the olive oil on first and then adhere your seasoning, whether it be salt and pepper or barbecue rub, what have you. And that's going to help your skin get extra crispy, what that olive oil is doing. Mm-hmm. With chicken, you probably want to cook it at a little bit of a lower temperature, so you're not going to burn the skin. You want a nice crispy skin without burning it.
I'll tell you, when it comes to grilling chicken, I have taken to, I don't know if you consider this cheating or not, to use the meat thermometer, because I just don't trust myself. Because a lot of times I end up, hey, I'm done, and I'm not. So I have to either put it back on the grill or, throw it in the microwave for a certain amount of time, which is a terrible sin, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with using the meat thermometer.
Right, so and there's a certain temp for like a chicken breast, so that way you don't have to worry if you have a thin one or a thick one, you can just use the thermometer.
Exactly. You want to be right around 175 degrees if it's dark meat, or right around 165 degrees if it's white meat.
Okay, and is that before you flip? Can you test that before you flip, or are you talking about afterwards?
I'm talking when you're all done and ready to cook. Yeah, those are the temperatures you're looking for. And if it's bone in, it's actually going to carry over about 10 to 15 degrees more than what you take it off at.
Okay.
If you got a really thick piece of chicken, is it okay to... I'll cut it open sometimes because I don't want to wind up, like he just said, walking back in, having turned everything off and finding out
right?
that it's pink inside.
I got it,
and you got to go back out. Is it okay to put a little cut? It doesn't sound like you're in favor of that sort of behavior.
It's okay. It's not going to hurt it, but I would recommend doing that before you cook it, so you're not going to have that moisture loss. When you cook chicken,
you don't get the moisture loss if you do it ahead of time.
No, you don't, because then it's just like two different pieces of chicken. You know what I'm saying? If you do it during the cooking process, when it's cooking and all the juices are flowing and all that stuff.
I do it right there on the grill.
Yeah.
Put a knife right
Probably
in.
Probably not the best way to keep juicy chicken.
Okay. That makes sense.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
That's why your chicken is not as juicy as it could be, Barry.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I end up with the meat thermometer. Go ahead, cheat.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the meat thermometer. I use it at the restaurant all the time.
Here's a professional telling you it's not cheating.
See?
You just prefer not to die of some horrible disease.
You learn things. All right. I have three more basics I want to get out of you. And if we got time, we'll take another call as well from Don and Joliet. But what is the best piece of meat to grill? Simplest, best cut of steak. This is from a texter, and I think it's a good point. Hey, I want to grill a steak. Which one should he grill?
My personal favorite would be a ribeye.
Yeah, me too. Bone in?
Yeah, bone-in ribeye. It's got the marbling on the inside, so it tends to not dry out even if you do overcook it. I think you can develop, if you get a big enough piece, you can develop a really nice crust on there, which is something that you look for in a steak.
Mm-hmm. How about a strip?
There's nothing wrong with the strip either. New York strip is a way to go too.
Okay.
Skirt steak is also great for grilling because it's got a lot of fat, and again, fat will char up, and you'll get that nice bark. We call it bark, or just nice char on there.
How about a fish? Is there a specific kind of fish that works directly on the grill, or is everything just a little too tender and you need to use some other way to do it?
Oh, no, I grill fish at home all the time. I actually go halibut, I go salmon, I go mahi-mahi. The key to what you want to do so your fish doesn't stick is you want to oil the grill grate right before you put it on, and then you also want to oil your fish. So, it's kind of an insurance policy, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Oiling your fish.
There's been so many today already. I let them all go, by the way, just, trying to be professional. So what about putting it in a very thin, foil tray?
You can do that as well, or you can, use a cedar plank. You ever seen cedar plank salmon?
I did that for the first time a couple of weeks ago. Salmon on a cedar plank. You really have to soak the plank,
or else you're going to start a fire.
Yeah. and you got to soak the plank for a long time.
Yep.
And then I don't know. I didn't feel like I was getting the most out of my grill when I'm doing that with a piece of fish.
Yeah. I've tried it a few times too. It's not my favorite cooking technique. I really just like heavily oiling your fish and heavily oiling your grill grate.
Wow, heavily oiling the fish. That's an extra level. Let's
watch it now.
Don is in Joliet on 670 The Score. Hey, Don, thanks for calling. You're up.
Hey, my son-in-law has an infrared gas grill, and I've never had better meat off of that. What do you think of those grills?
I've never heard of such things.
Yeah,
tell us what they are.
The infrared grill is just a real high heat, so it's very similar to propane, but they're not using propane. They're using infrared heat, so it's getting a real nice sear on there. The thing's probably getting up to 750 degrees with the infrared grill.
Wow.
And that's going to help, again, develop your char crust and all that kind of stuff.
So what does that run on in terms of power? What do you...
Usually it's electricity.
You're plugging it in.
Yeah.
Wow. And have you used them before?
I have not used one. I've read all about them.
Okay.
You go to Gibson's or a Morton's, and they're broiling their steaks at about 1,500 degrees.
So they can churn them out fast, right?
Well, not only that, but they're developing, that black crust that they get on there?
Yeah.
That is so desired with a piece of meat. And that's what that infrared grill is trying to replicate.
When I go to one of these places and they have, hey, look, it's a $99 ribeye, a tomahawk. I remember
the tomahawk steak.
The tomahawk steak, it was $99. And I'm like, oh my God, is it possible? What makes that special? That kind of thing. Is it worth trying one of those times?
Oh, it's definitely worth trying. And, that's a dry-aged piece of meat. So it's been dry-aged for up to 30 days in a cooler. And it has the bone in. And the thing probably weighs in at about 72 ounces. So you're getting a bang for your buck there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's also, with the inner marbling on the fat, you're going to get a good char crust there.
What are you laughing at, Barry? Spending $99 on a piece of steak?
I was just thinking, this seems so impossible to you. A guy who will think nothing of spending $150 on a bottle of scotch,
that's not true. I think a lot about that. I don't do that very often.
Well, but now you understand why you would do it.
Yes.
So here you go.
But the steak is gone. The steak is gone. At a certain point, it's gone faster than a bottle of scotch.
Not necessarily. Well, okay, faster than that, but.
All right,
a bottle can go too.
Last one. I love grilling asparagus, or sometimes other vegetables. These days, I bought one of those little vegetable trays that I put on the grill, and that seems to be the most controllable, easy way to do it.
Yep.
What are some simple marinades or simple things you can use for vegetables?
In the summertime, I really like to cook seasonal. So, lemon is very hot. It's refreshing in the summertime is to have some lemon. So just a real simple vinaigrette. 1 part lemon to about half a part olive oil, salt and pepper. You want to throw some fresh herbs in there, feel free to. Parsley's great. It's light. It's refreshing. It's summertime.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So lemon, oil, salt and pepper, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've done teriyaki every once in a while.
Oh, most definitely. You want to get creative, you can use balsamic vinegar. There's all sorts of marinades that you can use.
Sam Netter, thank you, man. That was really fun.
No problem. It was my pleasure.
We informed a lot of people. Real Urban BBQ is the place. Check them out online. And for God's sakes, if there's a store near you, go eat. And maybe Sam will come to your house tomorrow for the 4th and help cook.
I've been to the one in Vernon Hills. That is some spectacular food.
It is Spiegs and Rosner right here on 670 The Score.